Welcome to Real Health with me, Karl Henry. Folks, from starting her own business to almost declaring bankruptcy to thriving, Eavanna Breen, Clinical Director of Eavanna Breen Skin and Laser Clinic, has been through it all. And I'm delighted to say she joins me in studio now for a Life Lessons and Skin Health episode. Eavanna, great to have you in studio. How's it going?
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, there's an introduction. Starting the business, nearly bankrupt, thriving.
Yes.
Tell us more.
Oh my
Tell us about the business. First of all, how did you get into skincare? Let's begin there. Give us your background.
I finished school. I did my leaving cert when I was 16, so I was quite young. And at the time, my mother wanted me to do a secretarial course, which I did not want to do. So off I went to Paris to be an au pair and see the world. And while I was there, I just decided, I didn't want to go to college. But I knew I wanted my own business, and I knew that I loved beauty and skincare and makeup. And somebody showed me the college that I eventually went to, and I just fell in love with it, and I went, that's what I want to do. So I worked 3 jobs and saved up really hard and put myself through college.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you came back?
I came back to put myself through college. So I studied here in
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then just fell in love with it. Would come home from college telling everybody what I learned that day, and just really loved it, and I love the science of it. I love the interaction with people and just being able to help people, and to be able, I was literally going into college, sitting on the dart and going, I could do something for that person's skin. I wish I could get my hands on them. And that's, it's been like that ever since.
And tell us about the ups and downs of business. We teased it up in the introduction there, from starting the business to tough times to thriving. Tell us about the tough times. Yeah,
so I signed a lease on Crow Street at the height of the boom. It was 2006, and I was in a bidding war to get the lease, because you just couldn't get a lease at that time. And I bid quite high, and I took some bad advice from an accountant at the time, and things just, the first year in business is always difficult anyway. And it was the first year in business, 2006, 2007, then the recession hit. So I was just in business, the recession hit, and it all just came kind of crashing down. My rent was sky high. I wasn't able to meet the bills. So it was the first few years were really, really tough. And it came to a head point where I just had to turn around to my husband and said, this is not working. We need to either go bankrupt or sell up or do whatever. I couldn't sell it up because there was nothing to sell. But that was the decision. So we decided to approach the landlord. It was a very complicated lease, and I had to buy myself out of it.
Wow. So
that cost me a lot of money, a lot of what I always think is wasted money in one sense, but then in another way, it wasn't wasted because it got me out of that hole. And I found the premises on Leeson Street, which is where I am now. So we've been there, gosh, it must be 9 years at this point.
Wow.
And it just, after a year in Leeson Street, I was back in the black, and things have just gone from strength to strength ever since then. So, but it was a real turning point. It was like, do or die. Do I just close up and really, hand it over and say, that's it. It didn't work. I tried. Or
was there ever a moment where you thought, I'll do something else?
Yeah, because at that point I had to think, well, what would you do instead? And there was nothing else. There was, it was always going to be related to beauty and skincare. And I had this client list of people who had followed me. And remember, I'd been a therapist for 13, 14 years before I opened. So I had a very loyal client base that were still with me, and I wasn't going to just leave them. So I had all this equipment, I had the client base, I just needed the premises. So off I went. Yeah. And that's what it was. It was such a reset. It really, and we just introduced new treatments, and it worked out really well.
And do you like working for yourself?
I love working for myself. I could never go back to working for anybody else. I mean, it is the ups and downs, the roller coaster of being in business. And even now, even though the business is successful, there are still massive challenges on a regular basis. And you learn to be better at coping at those challenges. And that in itself is so rewarding, that you can see where you were and where you've come to, and things that might have fazed you in the past. You kind of go, oh, I know how to deal with this. You just get on with things. So I love the challenge of being in business. I love the diversity that my industry brings. There's always something new. You're constantly learning. You cannot be complacent. If you sit on your laurels, you're out of the business again. So it's.
Is it challenging with regard to the way people take information now, or where they get their information from now around their skin health?
Yes.
Presumably it is.
Yes.
Like in every industry, right? Because it's all online now. It's also
Exactly.
influencers chatting about X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Half of which is nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, even this morning I was looking at stuff on TikTok, and, they're talking about putting beef tallow on their face. Yeah. So, you're kind of going like, that's just a TikToker looking for, it's clickbait, they're looking for follows, they're looking for views, they're looking for likes. But unfortunately, there are people out there going, oh, well, that makes sense. And off they'll go and put beef tallow on their skin and cause themselves to get breakouts and acne and all these kind of things. So yeah, it is very challenging, because there are a lot of influencers. And I have to say, not so much the Irish ones, it's more the kind of an American influencers that just say things that they really should not be saying, that they have no clue about. And yet people listen to them and try products and end up damaging their skin barrier.
What are the most worrying trends that you've seen, apart from the beef?
People buying things like chemical peels online and doing it themselves at home. Chemical peels and microneedling and doing those kind of treatments at home.
Haven't bought them off a website.
Yeah. Wow. It's crazy. And not having a clue what they're putting on their face, and then burning their skin, and then people doing videos of peeling their skin off, and people thinking that this is a good thing. It's crazy. It's crazy what's out there.
And in terms of skin, let's put it back to basics for people. What do we need to do?
It's so simple. There are 3 things.
For men and women?
For men and women. First and foremost is always sunscreen. So regardless of the weather, regardless of the time of year, just wear sunscreen. Just put it on. And even though in January, the UV index isn't particularly high here in Ireland, I don't like to say, and you could get away with not wearing sunscreen in January, but I don't like to say that, because then you're out of the habit of putting it on. So if you just put it on every day, all year round,
just
you're
part
in
of
the
your
habit.
normal routine before you leave.
Exactly,
the house.
yeah. Sunscreen first and foremost. The next most important thing is your cleanser, so that you are actually cleansing your skin, and not with just any old soap, but that at the end of the day, which is more important than at the beginning of the day, because at the end of the day, you've got literally all this particulate matter and pollution and everything that's landed on your skin throughout the day. So whether you're wearing makeup or not as a woman, and for men as well,
that is a thing for men, isn't it? That, like, makeup.
Yeah.
It's becoming quite
huge.
normal.
Yes.
Not there's nothing wrong with it, it's not, but it is quite normal now. Yeah.
Fake tan. Men are starting to do it all, yeah, very much so.
Like definitely in the sound booth outside earlier on, there was definitely some makeup, on the lads. Without a doubt. But it is normalising.
It is, yeah, definitely.
By the way, there actually isn't anyway. Just Gav presses the sound button to make us all sound terrible. But yeah, it's the modern world.
Yeah, definitely. So cleansing that off at the end of the day is really important, and that allows then anything that you're putting on your skin afterwards to penetrate more effectively. So what you would put on afterwards would be a moisturiser. And that is a perfect basic routine. Then you can start adding in things like retinol and vitamin C. Like, they would be the next things, but they're a little bit more active, and you kind of need to get a little bit of help with those. So that's where somebody like me comes in. I'll guide you through that process.
And in terms of the cleanser then, is there a difference in terms of the price range? If there is, what's the difference between the cheap one and the expensive one? Or like, what should you go for? Like a pH neutral or...
So Cleanser is going to be different for everyone because obviously everybody's skin is individual. You don't have to spend a lot of money on a cleanser, and certainly within the clinic I see a lot of people coming in and they do tend to use the sort of stuff that you'd buy maybe in the chemist that would be a little bit cheaper, and that's fine. You know, the likes of CeraVe is a very good cleanser. It's a good price point, and if you're picking the right one for your skin type, then that's perfectly fine. Using a more expensive cleanser, like you can get some absolutely gorgeous balms that you can use that can be a bit more pricey, but in spending the money on them, that becomes more of a ritual then, and it's kind of like self-care as well. So people...
Mindful. It's kind of mindful therapy.
Yes,
as much as the cleaning. The process of it.
Exactly, yeah. It's a bit... And it's fun. It's at the end of the day, you come in, you cleanse your makeup off or cleanse your skin, and it's that you're home. You then put on your home clothes or whatever and sit down, have your dinner and relax. So there is that element to skincare as well, which is massively important. And
what you said earlier was interesting in terms of, you know, by doing the cleansing, it makes everything else more effective.
Yeah.
So so if you're putting moisturiser on after a busy day without cleansing.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, have you ever been, obviously I'm sure you have, to the Tube in London and you come out and you blow your nose and all this?
It's awful,
It's disgusting. Yeah. That is landing on our skin, and you don't necessarily see it when you cleanse off your skin at the end of the day. But all of that pollution and particulate matter is landing on our skin. So if you get this film of dead skin on you, of build-up on your skin, and then you're putting moisturiser on, the moisturiser is not going to, it will get there, but it will get there slower and it's not going to be as effective. But also by cleansing your skin, you're doing a very gentle exfoliation on your skin as well. And a very gentle exfoliation helps to speed up that skin cell turnover, which automatically makes your skin look brighter and fresher, gives it a more even texture. And if you have a build-up of dead skin, that's when your skin is going to look dull and grey and tired. So just cleansing that at the end of the day is really important.
Sold.
Yeah.
Sold. Good. Okay, tell me about the skin types then. So we've covered kind of the three basic essentials. Great. There are different types of skin, obviously.
Yes.
And there's a chart, isn't there? Yes.
Scale. So the Fitzpatrick scale is about really how quickly you burn your skin. So you've got Fitzpatrick's 1 to 6, and a Fitzpatrick 1, which a large majority of the Irish people would tend to have blue eyes, very pale skin. They would never tan, and they would go red. They'd burn very easily within the sun. So somebody at skin type 1 might take only 20 minutes in the sun and they're burnt. On the other end of the scale, you've got skin type 6, where the skin is a black skin. It doesn't burn as easily. It will burn, which is something that people don't realise, but it can burn.
Because there are people, they'll say, oh yeah, never burn, never. Yeah,
yeah, anybody can burn.
I've got great skin.
Yeah, anybody can burn if they stay out in the sun for long enough, even a black skin. And they'd have darker eyes. So they would take a lot longer, obviously, they wouldn't be as sensitive to the sun. And then the scale in between.
So it's important that people know what their own skin type is.
Yeah. And that's important in terms of skin health and the amount of time you can spend in the sun without sunscreen. So that scale would be based on how long you can spend in the sun without sunscreen. But I don't recommend you ever spend time in the sun.
I was just going to say that, you see, the general, because anytime we chatted skin and health, and I've had a dodgy mole taken out of my arm several times, so it's a topic that's important.
Yeah.
Is staying out of the sun is actually where it's at, really. It's been covered. Yeah.
It's been covered, and the people would say to me, but what about vitamin D? You need vitamin D, and that comes from the sun. Even if you're wearing sunscreen, the sun can still stimulate vitamin D in your skin. So don't worry about that. That's not something you need to worry about.
Or you supplement it.
Yeah, which we all should be doing at this time of the year, in the winter months in Ireland anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Exercise and skin.
I love exercise.
Yes.
It's so good for your skin. So not only is it great for your body and your muscles and your overall well-being and health, but you're increasing your blood flow. And anytime you've got an increase of oxygen and blood flow to the skin is getting oxygen, it's getting nutrients, it's getting the food it needs to function efficiently. So it's really important. And the other side of exercise and muscle. What's the word I'm looking for? Weightlifting. Weightlifting is so good for your bones. And as we age, our bone density is changing. And something that people don't really think about when they're thinking about aging is the stronger your bones are, the slower you're going to age. So, and that's the same for your facial, for your skull and your facial bones as well. So,
chat me through a routine for it. So post gym session, so people are going to have listening in. They're heading into the gym tonight. They're going to sweat in a spin class or in a high rocks or whatever. What do you do afterwards? So you've been sweating, you've been pumping, you've had a really tough session, you've had your shower. Fairly quickly after the session?
Yeah,
important
that's the important part, is to have the shower quickly after the session, not to be going for a smoothie or a coffee after the session and then going for a shower, just because the build of bacteria on the skin, and particularly people who are prone to breakouts. For guys in particular, breakouts on their back is very common if they're doing a lot of working out. So make sure that they're cleaning, they're having a shower straight after the gym. And then just keeping the skin hydrated. Often people who work out in the morning, for example, will get up and just go to the gym without doing any kind of skincare because they think they're going for it in a shower in an hour's time. But I put like a light serum on, and if I'm going to be going outdoors and it's not dark out, it usually is dark in these mornings, but if it's not dark out, I'll put sunscreen on as well. So you do need to have that skincare on. But I suppose what I tend to do is I tend to use the cheaper stuff. In the first thing in the morning, I might just use a serum that I picked up from The Ordinary or a cheaper brand like that. And at least my skin is getting some antioxidants. It's getting the protection from the UV rays as well. Do my workout, come home, shower, and then put on my proper skincare routine.
It's a full-time job, isn't it?
It is. It is. But maintenance is, and that's the key with skincare. The consistency with skincare is what pays off. The more consistent you are with your skincare, the better your skin is going to look.
And chat to me around supplements and skin. We see this on our Instagram quite a bit in the Q&As. People talk about, I've reacted to whey protein or, whatever. Is that quite common?
Yeah.
For people to react to certain things?
So with whey protein, it can be an issue for people with breakouts who suffer with breakouts. So if you're prone to acne or you tend to find that when you're taking protein supplements, I would say just instead of taking whey protein, go for a vegan blend instead, and just see does that make any difference. It doesn't affect everyone that way. And the studies have shown it's kind of 50-50. You either are somebody who's sensitive to it or you're not. So
it's trial and error.
It's trial and error. Yeah. So that would be one, yeah.
Okay. And people always send us questions when we have someone with regards to skin on or an aging and skin.
Yes.
What are the things that age skin faster? Like smoking is presumably one of them.
Smoking, alcohol, the sun is the biggest one. I mean, if we didn't see sunlight at the age of 60, we would look like we were 30. So
Go on.
Yeah, absolutely. The sun is what ages us most. Yeah. And obviously then anything that is causing oxidative damage. So yeah, as you say, smoking, alcohol is terrible for the skin.
From a dehydration perspective or?
Dehydration, lack of nutrients, the oxidative damage that it does. You don't sleep well, so then you're not regenerating as well as you should. Yeah.
And that sleep content's important now, isn't it?
So
and people skip that. They miss that.
Yeah. Sleep is so important when it comes to skin. And, the whole thing of you need your beauty sleep, it's something that we kind of dismiss as, I know that. But do you actually really know that? Because if you get a good night's sleep, think about when you wake up in the morning after a good night's sleep. You look rested, you look refreshed, you look healthy. Your skin regenerates itself throughout the night. And if you're awake, even at the time that process is happening, you're going to look tired, puffy-eyed, dull, tired skin the next morning.
There's nothing sleep doesn't make better.
I know.
Yeah. And people, they focus on all the other stuff like this. They'll focus on the skin, the routine and the product, but actually sleep is the cornerstone of everything.
I think it's great that more people are talking about sleep and the importance of sleep and the importance of a good sleep routine. I know you talk about it all the time as well. So it's, it's key.
Fillers and Botox.
Yeah.
Let's chat about that.
Yeah. So fillers actually are becoming less popular now. Now, these, don't get me wrong, they're still popular, but they're less popular. Botox is huge.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a pressure for women in particular, and starting to be for men now as well. But men age better, you see. And not only do they age better, but they're allowed to have lines. You think of George Clooney and Brad Pitt, and they have.
Brad Pitt looks amazing. He's had Botox.
He
looks amazing.
He's had a facelift.
Oh, how did he?
Yeah,
Okay, there we go.
yeah,
Oh, the truth is out now.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, allegedly.
He looks incredible. It was
does.
Cannes or something.
Yeah,
he was in
looks
his I'm not into clothes at all, but he looked really good.
Yeah. But
anyway, sorry.
They're allowed to have lines and wrinkles.
Yeah.
Because they're very attractive men, and the lines and wrinkles are attractive on them. But on a woman of that age, a line and a wrinkle isn't allowed. So there's a bit of pressure from society there. And that pressure we all feel. And even within my clinic, we don't offer Botox as a treatment. I don't have a medic on staff, so we don't offer Botox. But people tend to flock to me because they know that I won't force it on them. So they're coming in saying, I don't want to have Botox done. I want to look natural. What can you do? So that's what we do in our clinic. We tend to offer treatments that will age your skin really well without the need for Botox or fillers. And we can do that by offering things like microneedling and polynucleotides and radio frequency and all these kind of wonderful treatments that are less invasive than with fillers. What's happening now is we're realising that, when I first trained, when you got filler done, you kind of knew it would last maybe 2 or 3 years and then you'd have to get a top up. But now we're seeing that with ultrasound, those fillers are still present maybe 20 years later.
Wow.
And what can happen, and I'm sure you've seen it on some celebrities, is the more filler they get in, it kind of attracts water to them and kind of gives you that puffy look. So that's what's happening now. A lot of people are having those fillers dissolved and starting again.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's important to say, now I have absolutely an ulterior motive here, and I'll reveal it in a second. From a Botox perspective, if you are going to get it, that you go the medic route or
Absolutely.
GP route.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So in Ireland, you can only administer Botox if you are a medic. So if you're a dentist, you can do it, and if you're a doctor, you can do it.
My wife's a GP. It has an aesthetics business. That's why I asked.
Okay, there you go.
For the record, that's the
yeah.
Okay, so I suppose what we tend to ask now is towards the end of the interviews, 3 simple takeaways that you'd love for all our listeners to take away in terms of their skin health.
Yeah.
What were your 3, presumably similar to that we started with?
What we've said. I think, we've already talked about what the products that are important, but I think consistency is really important. That is key. There's no point in having the product sitting on your shelf. So being consistent and booking an appointment with somebody like myself, coming in and having a consultation so you know what skincare is right for you, you know what your skin type is, and that you can have a plan for aging. Because there's so much information out there. It is a minefield of information, and there are so many different treatments available. So it's difficult to know what's right to have done and what's suitable for your skin, and instead of just being pushed something because a particular clinic is promoting it that week or whatever. So really being having a plan for your aging, that it's a year-long plan and then sort of a 5-year plan, and how that might look as well. So I think they're the key things really, to be consistent and to have a plan and to get professional advice and not to be listening to the influencers who aren't qualified. Obviously there's a lot of
don't worry, I fly the unqualified flag all the time. Don't worry, it's something I do time and time. I'm actually sick doing it. Yeah, no, it's a good call. If people want to find you or touch base with you, where can they find you?
So we're on Lower Leeson Street in Dublin 2, but our website is www.eavannabreen.ie, and it's Eavanna Breen Skin and Laser Clinic on Instagram, and I have my own Instagram, and it's EAVANNA because that's one that people they always think it's Ivana. It's Eavana. Yeah.
Eavanna, great to have you on today's show. Really appreciate it. Folks, I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Get your SPF, clean your face and pop your moisturiser on afterwards. That's your homework over the course of the next couple of days. As ever, you know where we are at Karl Henry PT on Instagram, realhealth.independent.ie and on the Irish Independent website. Don't forget to rate and review and subscribe if you've liked what you've heard. As ever, we'll see you next week for more Real Health. Slán go fóill.